Artificial intelligence could give people the chance to speak with lost loved ones. Let's interrogate that properly. We will be discussing the positives and the negatives with one of our friendly futurologists. Back in a couple of minutes. There you are. Where have you been? Back with Neil Oliver Live. Now, the loss of a loved one might be the hardest blow to be endured in life. For many, the grief is intensified by feelings of unfinished business, things left unsaid. For others, a lingering wish is that they could just talk again to their mum or their dad or whoever it is that has died. Now, artificial intelligence is offering the grieving the chance to do just that. Rather than just look at photos, films and other mementos, Rememory can take your archive of physical memories and use it to generate an avatar of sorts of that lost loved one that can take part in real-time conversations. Joining me to discuss the concept, and it's a concept that I absolutely don't know how to internalise and accept, is futurologist Andrew Eborn. Andrew, thanks for coming.
Pleasure to see you again,
with us. First of all, tell us how Rememory works. What is it?
Yeah, well, basically, this is a particular company. It's a Seoul-based company, quite appropriate for looking at the soul. And what it is, it's a Korean company which will take your memories whilst you're alive. They say take about sort of 7 hours of interviews with you, and they will record you, and they will record your mannerisms and your voice patterns. And they also encourage you to share particular memories. If you've got diaries and so on and so forth. And what that will then do, it gets fed into this machine, this artificial intelligence, which will then mimic you as an individual. And you're basically combining that, and they're missing a few tricks which we'll come on to, but you basically combine that then with the visual image. Well, we were discussing earlier, it's like Harry Potter, it's the images come to life. And then what this particular company is saying is that you can then pay to come and visit your past loved ones and engage in a conversation. Now, this is the headline stuff, which all sounds very creepy and scary and things like that.
Is it an image on a screen? Is it a 3D hologram?
They could do a lot better. So their particular product is you go along, and effectively it looks like a hologram, and you basically, it's probably, you spend about £10,000 to £20,000 creating this hologram and feeding it the intelligence. And then what this particular company is saying is that you spend £1,000 to £2,000 a time every time you come for a visit.
2,000 to 3,000 times to chat with Nan.
To chat with Nan. There is a much better solution. And the better solution, I've been, as you know, working with holograms for many years, and we do what we call digital resurrections. So working, for example, in the music world, if you've never seen Elvis perform, we can basically, from archive footage and so on and so forth, recreate Elvis and put him on stage with a live orchestra.
But there is a difference there, I would say, where people are going knowing that they're just going to watch a resurrected performance. But aren't we preying on people's grief by suggesting to them that they are now in the presence of their lost loved one? Is that not just exploiting?
That's certainly one way of looking at it. Well, I don't know if it is, because this is done during their lifetime. So it's rather, if you like, it's the stage on. It's not for everybody, I absolutely understand that. But it's the stage on from saying, look, let's go and watch a family movie. This is us, grands at Christmas time, enjoying whatever was left of the turkey. Here's that funny sort of memory about how they met and all that sort of stuff. So some people will find it very, very comforting. And if you look at the videos on this particular company's website, there are people who are very emotionally moved as a result of it.
Jacob, what do you think of that? Just in principle, inviting people to imagine that they're talking to someone who is, after all, not there.
Well, I mean, writers and philosophers often point out that we get the technologies socially that we're kind of craving, in a way. And what this represents, I think, is that people increasingly are struggling to give meaning to life, and so therefore are struggling to come to terms with people being dead. And so that naturally breeds a kind of need to cling on to the remnants of the past. I mean, we saw one of the revelations from Harry's biography was was kind of one of the meta stories there was his inability to come to terms with the loss of his mother, and so he was paying mediums and psychics and all these kind of things. And in a way, what this technology represents is that writ large across society, our inability to come to terms with death because we struggle to give meaning to life.
But Jasmine, wouldn't you say that, I hear what Jacob's saying, but that's feeding that inability to accept reality rather than having someone find a measured way of accepting the loss.
Yeah, a way of moving on. And it does, I mean, as Jacob says, I think it is very much to do with not just a lack of meaning of life, but our lack of understanding of life as spirit. And because we have increasingly been told that there is only matter. You're born, you live, you die, end of. But those like myself, for example, who don't agree with that, I think that we should have a much better sense of life as spirit, as nothing to do with matter. That's a whole different thing.
Interesting, Andrew, isn't it? That this is circumventing what has been for thousands, an immeasurable period of time, people believing and accepting that lost loved ones are somewhere in another existence.
And I think you're absolutely right, and I see that.
This is an ersatz, decaffeinated coffee fakery.
Well, there is a degree of fakery about it, but the other way of looking at it is one up from the family album, the photographs, which you don't burn at the end of it. It's the memories, if you like, on film and so on and so forth. So if you can do, and this is just the beginning. As I say, it will now be possible, because technology is there, that you can combine it, and this will scare you, with robotics. So you could have,
RoboNAN.
Absolutely. You could have a RoboNAN, which will look and feel and smell the same as your Nan. Will have the same memories, if you like, on that sort of basis.
Are we opening the door into a new reality where we as a species will be made redundant by the capabilities of artificial intelligence?
And that's always the scary thing.
And not just it'll do your job.
Yeah.
Or it'll harvest the crop. It will actually outthink you and actually be a better version of you.
And it's already happening. So in AI, and I've been talking about this for years, in 2016, an AI machine beat the world Go champion. On that sort of basis, so outthink them. It's what Alan Turing, remember the famous in the 1950s, he called the imitation game, when basically you can fool somebody into believing they're talking to a human being, as opposed to a machine. We're already there. So the advances in that sort of side are tremendous. The trouble is the media always look at the negative side of it. And there are tremendous... And I watched another movie today called Megan, not to do with Harry or anything else, but it's to do with AI, robot, and a toy. It's sort of one up from Chucky, if you like. But again, it's that negative side about the rise of the machine. HAL in 2001, you're looking at the Ex Machina. All of those are negative implications about how the machine will work. But the advances in AI, for example, in medicine and stuff like that, if you go to a doctor, if you can get an appointment, and that doctor on his or her desk has access to the best research in the world automatically and can help you diagnose to improve your treatment, that has got to be a good thing.
Yes.
But as with so much of technology, with AI, I think we have got to the point where the technology, the AI, is way past us, and we've allowed it to go forward without us thinking about the morality of this, having a look at how it genuinely fits in with humanity, rather than trying to fit humanity around the AI.
It's posing some of the biggest questions that our species will have been asked in 300,000 years. Sadly, we've got to go to the break now. Andrew, thank you very much for that.
Pleasure to see you.
Wonderful stuff. I could talk about that for the rest of the 2 hours.